Well, welcome to another episode of Car Corner, where today we will be comparing the 1976 Buick Estate Wagon beside the 1976 Buick Electra. More specifically, we will be comparing their practicalities, their cargo capacities, and all of those other things that would have mattered to a growing family in 1976. We'll start by saying that even though the Buick Estate Wagon was considered a B-body platform from 1971 to 1976, it actually rode atop the C-body platform, which had a 127-inch wheelbase, the same as the Electra. So the wheelbase on these two cars is the same. The Buick Estate Wagon could be had in a two-seat version that sat six. It could also be had in a three-seat version. Let's take a little walk around and see what we have here. The Estate Wagon is painted in what Buick called Mount Vernon Cream. They named all of their colors for the bicentennial in 1976. And this 1976 Buick Electra four-door hardtop limited was painted in Liberty White. Once again, they do ride on the same 127-inch wheelbase. Both cars had the most interior width, shoulder room, hip room of any car ever produced by any manufacturer up until the mid-90s rear-wheel drive General Motors platforms for the Fleetwood, Roadmaster, Oldsmobile Custom Cruiser, and so on. So 71 through 74, the Estate Wagon had Electra trim. In other words, it had an Electra grille, the Electra 4 venti ports on the side fender, the Electra interior minus the door panels. In 1975 and 1976, they reverted to the LeSabre trim for the interior of the Estate Wagon. By 1975 and 1976, the Buick Estate Wagon was also the biggest station wagon ever produced in the history of station wagons, bar none. Mopar, Ford, General Motors, they weighed in at 5,400 pounds curb weight, and they were just massive, massive cars. Their load and carrying capacity was amazing as well. They're both powered by a standard Buick 455, and from this view you can see what I mean by the difference in the Electra trim. If you'll notice, the grille is just up and down slats on the Electra, and the porthole count is 4, whereas on the Estate Wagon it has the LeSabre grille, and it reverted to 3 portholes on the front fender as opposed to 4. The Electra itself weighed in excess of 5,000 pounds. Depending on options, it could push 5,300 pounds itself. So let's say you're a family in 1976. What are the practicalities of each? Well, the 4-door, you can put your kids in the back, and the trunk, which we will show off in a few minutes, was monstrous. It had over 20 cubic feet of of cargo carrying capacity in the trunk alone on this car, so it was no slouch. Also had a massive towing capacity. Back in the day, people used these cars to haul their boats, campers, trailers, Airstreams, you name it. It's before the SUV craze ever came out, so full-size cars filled that role in the 70s. The Electra, as you know, just has a front and rear seat. However, the estate wagon could be had with in either a 2-seat version or a 3-seat version. Let's take a look at that. We'll go over here. On this side, sun's a little bit better. Okay, and here you can see the dash of a estate wagon, which is identical to the dash of an Electra. For all intents and purposes, this is the wagon version of an Electra. The back seat, as you can see, was a 40-60 split. If you got the third row seat, which, if you look here, this wagon has. And we'll take a look from the inside. There's the third row seating, second row seating, and front row. And I know most of you watchers will say, well, that's weird. I remember seats facing the back in station wagons. How in the world are you supposed to get back there? Let me explain. We'll go around to the other side. By the way, both of these cars were designed by Bill Mitchell, the head designer of General Motors at the time. And General Motors was pretty clever with this third row seat here. How do the kids get in there? Well, there is a latch right here. I'm going to pull that latch. The seat folds up and out of the way for access to the third row for the kids. Let's move over to the Electra and let's show its carrying capacity in its trunk, and then we'll show the versatility and carrying capacity on the estate wagon. Most Electras had a power trunk release, which this one does as well. Here you can see the interior of a 76 Electra, and the dash is identical to the estate wagon. Let me open the glove box, and there's a button for the power trunk. Look at the carrying capacity for the Electra. As you can see, at over 20 feet of cargo capacity, even with a full-size spare. I know this is very cliche, but you could literally fit 6 to 8 bodies in there easily. So if you opted for the Electra, you had plenty of cargo space for all of your stuff. There's a factory brochure for 76. There's the dealer optional trunk mat. There's the original window sticker to this particular car. And that's what we have for the trunk space in the Electra. Now, let's move over to the cargo capacities on the estate wagon. A lot of people don't realize these were what General Motors called the glide away tailgate. So you're saying, how does that work? Well, you notice this little key. When you turn it one way, the window slides into the roof and out of the way. When you turn it one more notch, the tailgate moves down and out of the way. So this is the storage that was in the back of the third row of a Buick estate wagon. Again, there's the factory brochure, the factory interior trim and options book, the factory build sheet. And you're going to say, okay, so how about if the seats are down, what do we have? Well, let's move back and I will show you the configurations that were available. You come here and there's a latch that you pull, which releases the rear seat to fold. There's also a latch right here that folds the other side of the passenger seat. Let's first of all do this. I'm going to pause and I'm going to fold the cargo shelf down to show you what we have here first before I lower that. So one more pause. So here's one configuration. The load floor is lowered. We'll go to the back and see what that looks like. So in other words, what I'm trying to stress here and show you is that if you had two kids and you had long, like 2x4s or something that you needed to carry, well, guess what? You could strap them in the seat and you could also carry your 2x4s on the right hand side of them. Let me pause. And that being said, I'm now going to go lower the passenger seat completely so that we have a completely flat load floor, and I will show you what that looks like. Pause again. Now, with all the seats folded, you can see that there is a gargantuan amount of hauling capacity that this car had. It could actually hold 4x8 sheets of plywood and the gate still work and close. And with that glide away tailgate, guess what? You didn't have a tailgate that folded down that kept you from gaining access and walking straight up to the car to load your stuff and unload your stuff. Once it was loaded, you simply went back to the key. These switches are also on the dash. And the 6-way power tailgate will get the right key. The 6-way power tailgate close individually without the other one doing anything. They will also open individually, or at the same time. Same with closing, same time if you wanted. So there's what we have with the cargo capacity of a Buick estate wagon. By the way, with the seats folded like that, it had 186 cubic feet of cargo carrying capacity. The wagon is also different from the Electra in the fact that the wagons had a leaf spring suspension, much like a half-ton truck, to carry heavy loads, whereas the Electra was more geared to comfort. So it had a 4-coil setup. We will conclude this by starting them up, letting you hear them run, and be done with it. If you'll pause one moment, we'll go over to the Electra and start it. Okay, so moving on, start the Electra so we can hear it run. You gotta love those 70s buzzers. Let's go ahead and give her a crank. Like that, she started. And we'll take a look at the engine bay. So there's the Electra running, and we will scoot over and we will start the estate wagon so you can hear it running as well. Keys. And that quick it's running as well. We'll take a look. There's the exhaust. Love my big girl wagon. Love all my Buicks. Let's take a look at this engine bay. There we have 455, and I hope you can hear me, but do you see those bars going there? Adam, I want you to ask somebody, if you're watching this, Wayne, Katie, whoever, why the LeSabre and Estate Wagon kept those bars in 75 and 76, but if you will notice, they are gone off the Electras in 75 and 76. That has been the one question that's baffled me from the time I got these cars. So, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for new content. I hope you learned a little bit about the Buick Estate Wagon and Electra for 1976. I'll close with their actual length. The wagon is 231.8 inches long. The Electra is 2 inches longer at 233.8. Once again, please like, subscribe. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday and good day.